for joining us today for the ANA eLearning Academy. Today we're going to have Isaiah presenting on the detection of counterfeit slabs. You will all be on mute for this webinar, so if you have any questions, please put them in the chat or in the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen, and I will read them to Isaiah at the end. We thank you all for being here, and thank you, Isaiah, for presenting for us, and you can go ahead and get started.
All right, thank you, Logan, and thank you everyone for being here. As it's mentioned on the screen, my name is Isaiah Hageman, and I will be presenting on detection of counterfeit coins, slabs, I should say. So first, who am I? You're probably all wondering who I am. I am a sample slab leading expert. I wrote a book titled Sample Slab. It's self-published, and on my website, I'm a counterfeit coin and slab specialist. I've been studying counterfeit slabs for several years now, and this is the accumulation of my work. I'm also the assistant editor of the Cincinnati Numismatic Association's newsletter. So in this presentation, we are going to have four main segments. First, we're going to discuss slab composition. We're going to discuss some PCGS counterfeits. I've got 7 or 8 different examples for you today. We're going to discuss NGC counterfeits, and I've got, again, 7 or 8 different ones. And we're going to talk about where you can find these counterfeits before we do some questions. So first, go into slab composition, and starting with the PCGS slab. So with the PCGS slab, we have several different generations pictured. We've got the rattler, we've got the doily, which is a 2-part composition composed of a rattler slab encased in a plastic ring. And then we've got your more standard modern slabs. So the slab is composed of, first of all, the hologram on the reverse. Not all PCGS slabs will have a hologram. I think they started using the hologram in the late 80s to early 90s. The label color did change. We started out with an off whitish green, moved into a pale green, the doily, and then we moved into shades of both solid gray and blue, ending on the current slab, which is a starting with a dark blue at the top, going down to a white at the bottom. The label is both our regular types without the gold shield and our gold shield secure holder, which started as the secure and was renamed gold shield, that features a gold shield that's shiny with sparkles and has microprinting around the edge of it. Text is mainly a consistent font. As you'll notice with counterfeits, the text gets a little wonky and weird. We have microprinting featured in several different areas, not only in the hologram, but also on the gold shield. And then the molding, where it says PCGS, there's molding down at the bottom right-hand corner on the obverse of all modern PCGS slabs. And going back to the old green holder, you've got PCGS molded into the plastic.
Hey, Isaiah, would you mind putting the slideshow into full view? I guess some of the people are having a hard time seeing it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Is this better?
That's perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Let me minimize this. NGC slabs. Again, we have the hologram on the reverse that started in the late 80s, early 90s. The label has always been a white design. We have gone from brown to light green borders around the edges. The text font has remained fairly consistent up until the modern holder, when they changed the font to make it a little more readable and a little larger. Microprinting is featured on the label, on both the label and the hologram. On modern holders, there is a UV watermark that you can use a black light or a UV light. I believe it's up in the top left-hand corner. There's a UV watermark that shows the NGC scale. That's present on all modern slabs. However, when you start dating back into the old fatty and earlier NGC generations, that watermark is not going to be present. Newer holders also have a clear plastic strip that runs across the slab. So as you can see on the 2019 Eagle pictured on the right, there's a clear plastic strip that runs across the slab on the inside that holds the white core in place. So let's start with some PCGS counterfeits. Our first counterfeit is a 1900 Chinese dollar. And the first thing you're going to notice is the gold shield is off. It's not only tilted slightly, it's slightly rotated, but it's not sparkly at all. It's very mushy looking, not sharp. And you're going to notice the microprint is the wrong font size. And honestly, I'm not even sure if there is microprinting or if that's just a black border around it. The label text sizing and font are wrong. And you'll see on the next slide in a little bit, you'll see why the font is wrong. The sizing is wrong. Barcode is the wrong size, and it's very uncommon. It happens, but it's very uncommon for the certification number to blend into the barcode. It does happen, but it's very uncommon. For this generation of slab, the label color is wrong. It should be that blue to white gradient instead of a solid off blue. And then also the certification number is wrong on here. Sometimes counterfeits will have a genuine certification number for a real coin, but that only happens when the counterfeiter has taken the certification number from somewhere like Heritage or Stack's Bowers or Great Collections, a major auction house, dealer, and they put that genuine number onto a fake slab. So going on, noticing the font. Now with these photos, I have darkened them and tried to sharpen them up so that you can see the difference. On the top, we have a genuine PCGS label. The bottom photo is a counterfeit label, and you'll notice the differences in the text font. Most counterfeits will be of this font on the bottom. It's the closest that counterfeiters can get to the actual PCGS font that they use. You'll notice, especially in the G, the main difference between these two is in the G. The serifs of the G on PCGS slabs are going to be sharp, and they're going to be slanted downward slightly. On the counterfeit slabs, they're usually squared off. You also notice the difference in the bold print and the thickness in the letters. This is the reverse of our first counterfeit. As you'll notice with the hologram denotes that should have been a blue to white gradient label on the front, which it's not. Also, a major tip-off, although not always, some genuine slabs will crack, but another suspicious giveaway to me was all of these spiderweb cracks here on the back. Our second counterfeit is a 1795 US dollar. You'll notice that the coin itself is counterfeit. Sometimes there are genuine coins put into counterfeit slabs. Usually it's a counterfeit coin, but there are sometimes genuine coins. The label color is wrong. The spacing on the label, spacing of letters is far too wide. The bold type is slightly lighter than it should be. And I don't often see it sometimes, but not often, especially with this slab type, 3 leaves, the variety, is not going to be as bold as PCGS in the grade. You'll also notice that the certification number, if you look this one up, this certification number is correct. This is one of these examples that was stolen, that the certification number was taken from a genuine $1795 in very fine 20. Our third counterfeit is an 1889 Carson City dollar in XF40, or so it says. It is a counterfeit coin. You'll notice that the barcode and the certification number are wrong. The label color is again off. The font type, size, and the boldness is wrong. In this case, the font is far too tall and a little bit more spaced out than it should be. You'll notice this especially on the date 1889 and the mint mark of that's typed on the label. This slab in particular is taller and narrower than genuine slabs. When I held it in person, it was taller and narrower. That's one thing to look for. And the plastic simply doesn't feel as premium. Our fourth counterfeit is another 1889 Carson City dollar. This is a decent fake. It's still a fake coin. It's a decent fake. And it was actually a decent counterfeit slab. you'll notice right away that the label color is again slightly off. The font is smaller and darker than it normally is. The coin appears, if it was genuine, this would be a very nice coin for an about and circulated 50. Now, grading is subjective, but I think most of us would agree if this was a genuine coin, it'd be graded a little nicer than AU50. The label text is slightly off center. You can notice that especially when you line up 1889 CC and PCGS AU50, you'll notice that the PCGS AU50 is off the center. It's usually centered, but in this case, it is off center. Now, this is where I want to note the PCGS molding in the plastic, as I discussed earlier. In this case, PCGS is taller and slightly wider, but mostly it's too tall to be a genuine slab. Our spotlight number 5. This is a different Morgendollar, but I wanted to bring your attention to the hologram on the reverse of the slab. To my knowledge, PCGS has never used a solid gold hologram. In my experience, it has always been a multicolor rainbow hologram. I've never seen a solid gold hologram on a genuine PCGS slab. NGC has used the gold foil hologram, and PCGS with their old green holders will use a solid gold type, but of the newer types after the old green holder, the type 3, after the type 3, we have never used a solid gold hologram, especially of that type. Counterfeit number 6 is an 1891 Carson City dollar. And you'll notice again right away, the coin is counterfeit, but as well, the label color is again wrong. That's an off blue color, which is fairly interesting. It's not the right color, but it could fool you, especially if the seller's photo lighting. If photo lighting is off, these labels will not appear the actual color that they are. The font is again smaller and darker than normal. In this case, it's very bold and very dark. The label text is shifted far to the left. That does happen, but it's fairly rare for PCGS to put a label in the slab when the text is almost falling off the edge of the label. So you're probably noticing a trend by now. The label color is usually wrong. The font is usually smaller and darker than normal, not always, but usually. And this is another one where PCGS molded into the plastic is too tall to be genuine. Spotlight number 7 is an 1880 Carson City dollar. This is another very good fake. The label color is correct for this generation. This is when it gets tricky, and this is one of the best counterfeit slabs for PCGS that I've seen of this generation. The font is only slightly darker than it should be. The font itself is very slightly off. So it's like using your body text instead of your header text in Microsoft Word. It's that slight difference that makes the difference. The certification number is slightly taller than normal for this generation slab. I'm not sure if the certification number is for the actual coin that's supposed to be represented here. I did not check this one. And this coin could be a genuine coin. I did not check that closely. If it's a fake, it's a very good fake. It could be a real coin, but the slab itself is counterfeit. And our final PCGS counterfeit slab is a 1906 Chinese dollar. The color for the label is correct, but this is where the difference is. PCGS will use an uppercase S, a $, and a 1, not Liang for China. They will not use the Liang. They will use S, $, 1. The font and sizing is also deceptive. It's slightly bolder. Now the difference is with this slab generation and going on into newer slab generations up to today, PCGS will not usually bold the variety to the extent of the grade. It's usually it's the same font, but it's usually not bold. That was a giveaway on this one. The certification number on this one as well is genuine. And if this was a genuine coin and slab, this would be worth about $125,000 last time I checked. So it does, even if the certification number works, you do need to be very careful when you're actually checking the slab itself, because counterfeiters will take this. And I believe this coin, I believe the certification number on this one was taken from the Stack's Bowers website. So let's move on to NGC now. And our first counterfeit is a 1890 to 1908 Chinese dollar. With this one, you're going to notice that the font is far too tall for an NGC slab, especially of this older generation. The grade especially, I noticed the grade was off first. The certification number is short and fat and very elongated. The barcode will not scan. I've noticed that with NGC's app, if you're scanning with their app, it doesn't always work, but counterfeit slabs will never scan up correctly. Just as a general rule, counterfeit slabs will not scan PCGS or NGC. Certification numbers might work, but with a counterfeit slab, the barcode will never work. With this, you also notice that the counterfeiters made a pretty bad mistake. If they had been a little more careful in their work, they would have noticed, instead of putting $1, they put the numbers 551. Anyone remotely familiar with an NGC slab will immediately notice that mistake. I've never seen NGC make a mistake like that. Not that it happens, it may happen, but I've never seen them write 551 instead of $1. Now here's where it gets interesting with NGC. On genuine slabs, in the certification number, the dash between the number and the coin number from the submission, in that dash, genuine slabs will have the end of that dash on the left, it'll curve down. On the right, it'll curve up. I've never seen a counterfeit with that dash curved down on the left, curved up on the right. They've only been straight for me. Our second counterfeit spotlight is an 1898 Chinese dollar. Once again, the font is too tall. The certification number is too short and spaced far out, which you can notice especially in the 111 in the middle of the certification number. You'll notice how far that's spaced out. Another thing, if you're like me and you look very closely at the label, you'll notice that the 6 in the grade, MS61, the 6 is blunt. It's usually sharper, and the top tip is more defined. But this one was a little bit too far blunt. Our third counterfeit, when I saw this one on eBay, I burst out laughing because this is one of the funniest counterfeit NGC slabs I have ever seen. NGC has never used a label that looks like this. With this is an 1884 New Orleans dollar. The NGC in the lower right-hand corner where it says NGC, there's always going to be micro printing and a hologram in the background of NGC. The counterfeiters misspelled guarantee, to my knowledge of this slab generation. They put 2 E's instead of a Y. There are no prongs on this label. And when I say prongs, if you look on a genuine NGC slab, on the left and right hand side of the label, there are 2 prongs, one on each side that jut out about, I'd say, a couple of millimeters. That holds the label in place from falling out. Not all NGC slab generations have these prongs, but all newer generations of slabs for NGC will. This slab, should it be genuine, should have those prongs. Also with this, the certification number is too small. The barcode is far too thick, but this one was just funny to me. I believe this was actually a genuine coin, but I just had to laugh when I saw this one on eBay because this is just a funny counterfeit. Moving on to NGC counterfeit number 4, we have an 1898 Chinese dollar. This time they got it right and they put $1 instead of 551 on there. You'll notice again, the font is wrong. It's too tall. You'll notice that the label color is slightly off. It's slightly darker than it should be. This is one of the few, very few counterfeits. In fact, this is the only counterfeit, NGC counterfeit I've ever seen that has some semblance of the curves and the dash of the certification number. One other thing you'll see is that the catalog number on this variety under 1898 China $1, the catalog number KM238 should be after the province, not before the province. Moving on to counterfeit number 5. Now this one may stump you. This looks at first glance, if you're not looking at the coin definitely looks suspicious. If you're looking at the label, at first glance, this one looks really nice. And this is one that actually, at first it scared me on eBay because on the left, you have the photo, you have NGC's photo from their certification verification app. On the right, you have the counterfeit slab that was listed on eBay. It is the same certification number. This is one of those where the certification number was stolen, and they actually did a fairly good job making that label. But you'll notice on the genuine label, there's only 3 lines of text with the barcode and the certification number. The counterfeit slab has 4 lines of text. This is when you definitely want to check your certification number, because even if it comes up genuine, compare the photo that the grading service has. So for NGC, that's the photo that shows up with every slab, every newer slab. And with PCGS, if the coin has a TrueView photo, compare the coin to the TrueView photo, because this shows you the difference in the slabs, and counterfeiters can get very creative with how they do this. Number 6 is an Indian rupee from, I believe that says 1862. Now, this grade, MS57, I thought that was funny because I have a little catchphrase for it. When I show people this coin, I tell them they graded it MS57 because I said when it's brilliant uncirculated, but it has that roll friction, you call it MS57. As usual with counterfeit slabs, the font size and spacing is wrong. This is once again, and I've noticed this with a lot of NGC counterfeits, that the label type, or the font, is going to be taller than it should be. It looks like the 4 and 5. One of the biggest giveaways for me, again, was the 4 and the 5 of the certification number. That's clearly the wrong font. And with this slab, this is one of those slabs where you should have that clear plastic line running across between the label and the coin to hold the core in place. That line of plastic is not present on this coin. That's one of the biggest giveaways. Now with this next counterfeit, number 7, this is a 2011 supposed proof Buffalo gold piece, 1 ounce gold. You'll notice the label color is slightly darker. They did a pretty good job, but the scale on the right side of the label is too dark. And that, if you look very closely in the top left-hand corner, you'll see that yellow circle with the scale inside. That's supposed to be the watermark. I've never seen a counterfeit NGC slab with a watermark that works, with a good watermark that NGC would have on theirs. Again, the font and the text, the font of the text and the size is far too big, way too dark, and the certification number is too short. The spacing between the words is off. It's a little bit closer than it should be. This is one of the rare times they actually space it just a little bit too close. And the bold text, this is far too bold for an NGC coin, especially of this slab generation. So now, where are these fakes? Where can we find these fakes? Where can we pick them up? Where can we see them? eBay is a big spot for fake slabs. This is the picture on the left is a listing for an eBay listing for a counterfeit slab that I pulled about just under 6 years ago. I pulled this off of eBay. Thankfully, it didn't sell. I ended up, after pulling the picture, I reported this listing to eBay and it was taken down promptly. Now, with this, you have to be careful. You'll notice it's very hard to see as I had to zoom in on the label, but you'll see the label says AU56. That's a dead giveaway. AU56 is a dead giveaway because NGC and PCGS just don't use the number 56. They go 50, 53, 55, and 58. They've never done 56. Another thing is if you've got a coin coming from outside the US, I wouldn't consider that to be all 100% always suspicious, but for me personally, I tend to pay a little closer attention to coins that are shipping from outside the US just because a lot of fakes come from areas such as China and Taiwan and Hong Kong. Because over there, especially going back to the NGC and PCGS Chinese dollars that I showed you, Chinese dollars are extremely popular over in Hong Kong and China and that area. And so there's a lot of counterfeits over there. And some of those counterfeits, quite a few actually, manage to make their way over here. If you're careful and you look hard enough, you can find counterfeits on eBay. It's just a matter of time. Now, when you find a counterfeit on eBay, you should promptly report it, and so that eBay can take the listing down. I've never seen a counterfeit on like Stax Bowers or Heritage or Great Collections, those major auction houses here, because they're really good at seeing those fakes and not putting them up in their auctions. So really, I would be very careful on eBay, at coin shows, and at coin shops. I've only found a few counterfeits in shows and shops. I found quite a few on eBay, but I've only found, I'd say 3 or 4 between all the shows and shops I've been to. There just aren't that many there because a lot of times in the shop, dealers pay a lot closer attention. In a show, they're putting slabs back and forth. It's a lot more hectic. There's a lot less time to look at the slab. But in a shop, as opposed to a show, in a shop, they can sit there and they can look at it. Now, every slab you look at, you should pay close attention, and so that you can pick out these counterfeits and avoid making mistakes that I'm sure many of us have made, myself included. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Logan, and we'll do questions.
All right, I'll give you guys a couple more minutes or a couple seconds to put in any questions because I don't see any quite yet. And then if we don't get any, I'll go ahead and wrap up. But you did a great job. That was very informative. Someone who doesn't know much about coins, that was a great lecture.
Yeah, I've been studying counterfeits for several years now, and so it's always interesting to me to see both counterfeit coins but also counterfeit slabs. And I know people are, a lot of people are like, well, it's, it looks like it's certified. It looks like it's a genuine holder, so it must be real. Unfortunately, it's the opposite.
Yeah. All right, here comes some questions. First one, what is the name of your book?
My book is called The Sample Slab. And so I have a digital download on my website. You can email me as well for a copy of it.
Okay. Are there any website that list known spoofed certification numbers? I know of the blackgallery.org.
So there are several websites for counterfeit coins. I have yet to find a website that lists counterfeit slab certification numbers. I'm actually in the process of starting that myself.
Awesome.
just to keep my own personal record. But at some point, once I acquire enough, I would like to make that public.
That's awesome. Can you discuss the way PCGS coins will stack and nest?
Yes. So on PCGS slabs, there are 4 prongs on each corner. There's a prong on each corner of the slab. Those will stack and lock in. You'll hear when you stack PCGS slabs, you'll hear the click as they lock in. Very few counterfeits will lock in. That's also to say some genuine slabs won't, because it's also fairly easy to break those prongs. But I have yet to find a counterfeit PCGS slab that will lock in properly.
Okay. Have you found counterfeit slabs to be easily separated into halves?
It really depends. Some counterfeiters will use, and I've found some that use better quality plastic than others. And so if it's bad quality plastic, you'll start to see bending. I actually have one here on my desk, a counterfeit slab, where the slab itself has started to actually bend to the point where you can see it's bowed like a piece of wood at this point.
Oh, wow. What got you interested in coin collecting?
Yeah, so about, I'd say probably 8 or so years ago, I acquired a few wheat pennies, a couple silver dimes, a couple silver nickels, and a red book. And that got me hooked on the collecting bug. And from there, I expanded into Morgan dollars, error coins, varieties. A couple years ago, I picked up starting to research counterfeits because there's just not a lot of information out there for counterfeits. And for counterfeit slabs, I hardly found any information at all. So I decided to pick up on where I just couldn't find anything and do some research, and that stretched into this.
That's awesome. I love hearing about people, what got them into coins. So that was a good question for someone to ask. Are there specific coin types more prone to these counterfeit slabs, or could it be any coin?
Absolutely. It's really any coin. Be suspicious of any coin. But I have noticed that in the US, Morgan dollars, bullion, both silver and gold bullion, Morgan dollars, and St. Gaudens double eagles are by far the most counterfeited in the US. Major varieties, key dates, those are usually counterfeited as well. Overseas in the world, I've noticed a lot of Chinese dollars are counterfeited, as well as a lot of Indian coins.
Interesting. Do counterfeiters ever buy the real coin and make copies of it?
Absolutely. I know of a lot of coins. I actually have one in my safe right now where a counterfeiter had gone and bought a genuine coin at a major auction. They pressed it into dies. This is called a struck counterfeit. So they pressed it into die steel and then used those dies that they created to strike their own counterfeit coins. Now, those are some of the best counterfeits out there. There's several references. I can't think of titles off the top of my head, but there are several references that go on in great detail about these struck counterfeits. We've diagnosed a lot of different counterfeits, and struck counterfeits are among the easiest to catalog.
What impact do you think the new NFC chip features will have on the spread of counterfeits?
I think it's great. I think the NFC chip is wonderful. I think it's going to all but stop counterfeiting of new slab varieties and new generations of PCGS slabs, because there's just so much encryption in the NFC chip that it's just going to be incredibly hard to counterfeit, which goes to say counterfeiters are going to stop looking at these new slab generations, and they're going to start going back into the older generations because that's easier to counterfeit. There's less security measures in those older slabs.
Sorry, my computer froze. Should PCGS and NGC be notified of certification numbers that have been spoofed? I have seen that NGC website will indicate a certification number as well as possible counterfeit?
Yeah, so if you find a counterfeit, definitely report it to PCGS and NGC. If you know me, definitely report it to me so that I can log it. But PCGS and NGC would love to hear of any counterfeits that you guys find, because I know NGC will note that it has been faked. I have not seen PCGS to do that. That is also to say, if you have a counterfeit slab, contact them. They would love to get their hands on it. I've seen several slabs where they actually requested that they take it into their facilities to look at. I've seen counterfeits that are both ridiculously funny and very badly constructed, but I've also seen counterfeits that are good enough that they scare the grading services.
That's interesting. What do you think about the new NFC technology? Oh, I think that we just answered that one. So, do PCGS slabs omit the barcode on the front?
They do sometimes. The mid 2000s holders, so this was the off gray blue solid type label. At times when if you got like the series number and the coin number, so those were intended at type coins. Back in the early mid 2000s, you will occasionally see the barcode moved. The barcode and sometimes the certification number moved to the back below the hologram. But for the most part, it's been the front of the slab. I wouldn't immediately discredit a slab because the barcode's not on the front, just because PCGS has been known to move it to the back at sometimes. But that could be a cause for concern.
Okay. What is your website address in order to check out your content as well as a book? Will this presentation deck be made available for future reference to attendees? Yes, to answer the second part, this will be on the ANA eLearning page, so you will be able to watch this back.
Yes, and then all of our. To say to that, my business email, and my website are currently on the slide that I'm sharing right now.
Perfect.
So I will leave this up for a little bit if people need to write this down.
All right. Steve Feltner asks, are you cautious about sharing this information as counterfeiters could use this information to make better fakes? Hi, Steve.
That is a really good question. I'm very glad that was asked, because so I presented this for the Newman Numismatic Portal back in August. Since then, I've expanded the presentation. I've put in some new research, and now the reason I'm sharing this is because I think collectors need to know what counterfeit slabs look like. At the same time, everything I'm sharing, you can go out and find on your own. This is not, none of this information presented today was private information only for the grading services. There are other security measures and other security features in PCGS and NGC holders that are not known to the public. And if they were, they would be, removed and corrected. There are only so many things that we as the public can find. There are a couple security features I've found that I'm not going to be discussing, simply because they're features I should not have found. Mm-hmm. But everything I shared in this presentation right now is public knowledge that you can find on your own just by looking at the slabs. And I don't think this is enough to change the way counterfeiters do it.
I think we kind of answered this one, but in your experience, is the coin in the counterfeit slab usually counterfeit?
It is, for the most part. I have seen genuine coins in counterfeit slabs. I've also seen counterfeit coins in genuine slabs. So it pays to look not only at the coin. They say buy the coin, not the holder. I say buy the holder, not the coin, when I'm doing sample slabs, but I think people, no matter what it is, you should look at both the coin and the holder, because you could go either way.
All right. Is there a site or book about the different generations and descriptions of slabs?
Yes. David Schwager out in California, he's the president of the Orange County Coin Club out in California. He wrote a book titled Sample Slabs, and he does go into detail about slabs and slab generations. If you Google something like PCGS does have on their website, they do have what's called the PCGS Museum of Coin Slabs. where they go through every single generation they've ever done. NGC unfortunately does not have something like that. I wish they would do. I wish they would make a museum of their slabs. So you can Google PCGS Museum of Coin Slabs. There are several third-party websites that detail the slab generations. David Schwager's book does a great job. My book does a little bit, but not as much. Yeah, there are definitely resources out there.
Cool. Do you think it will be beneficial for the ANA to list or describe fake slabs on its website?
So I know that the ANA has a wonderful counterfeit coin collection. I don't know how much they have as to slabs. I would love to see a registry of their counterfeit coin collection somewhere on their website. If they have slabs, I would love to see that too, just to put so that collectors like myself can start to put together a registry of known counterfeit slab certification numbers and photos. I've been trying to get every photos of every counterfeit I can. The photos in this presentation is a small representation of what I've photographed in the past few years. If I put in more, there just wouldn't be enough time to run through everything and it'd be very repetitive. So I just picked out a few different examples, but it would be nice to see photos of the entire collection.
All right. Are ANACs and IGC commonly counterfeited?
So Annex, ICG, and the other minor grading services, by no means lesser than PCGS and NGC, but I simply have not seen as many counterfeits for Annex, ICG, SEGs, the others, simply because the market for coins in those slabs does not seem to be quite as strong as PCGS and NGC. So I have not seen as many counterfeits there.
Yeah. In your opinion, do counterfeiters usually use a valid certification number where the PCGS or NGC website does not have an image of the associated coin?
So PCGS only has images when you pay a few extra dollars. I think it's like $5 extra for their TrueView service, which is fantastic. NGC will photograph the slab. For newer slabs, most newer slabs, they will do it. Not every NGC coin is going to be imaged. So that's not always a dead giveaway. If it does have an image, definitely compare the image, but I wouldn't take it not having an image to be counterfeit because, there's computer errors, there's mistakes, they don't always get photographed. Older slab generations weren't photographed to begin with. So, but I would definitely keep that in mind, that if it doesn't have an image, it could be potentially suspicious.
All right. Do you see many error coins in fake slabs?
Honestly, I don't think I've seen any counterfeit slabs with error coins, just because error coins play to a much smaller market. And usually counterfeiters, like I said earlier, they're going to be counterfeiting your key dates, your major varieties, your most common coins, because they're shooting for the market where they can make the most money as quick as they can and then disappear off the face of the earth before they're caught. They're not looking to counterfeit a bunch of error coins and put them in slabs that, only a few people are going to be interested in.
Okay. Have you ever discovered any label errors on genuine grading company holders?
Oh yeah, all the time. I mean, coming in the mail to me right now, I've got an NGC slab that the coin, it's a 1964 Denver quarter, but it's labeled as a Philly quarter. So yeah, and I mean, they make mistakes. I mean, they're human just like us. It's not a computer. They make mistakes. I was for a while, I was putting together a collection of label errors that were some, you get, if you have a lot of coins going in for certification, sometimes they get flipped around. The wrong coin goes in the wrong slab. They forget to add mint marks. They put the wrong date on. So yeah, it happens it happens once you start looking, it happens more than you think.
That's funny. Any idea of the population of the fake slabs?
It really depends on what fake slab we're talking about and what coin is supposed to be in there. If we're talking something like Morgan dollars versus Lincoln cents, I think Morgan dollars are going to be a little more common to be faked because that's a little more popular of a series. But it really depends. It's hard to put together a census until we have a better idea of what counterfeits are out there.
Okay. The NGC newer slabs have the hologram sticker behind. Are there any well-known made fake holograms?
Yeah, and that's something, honestly, that's something that scares the grading services the most is when it's a good hologram. I saw pictures of, and I did not for this reason, photos of this slab were not included in this presentation. I photographed a coin in a counterfeit slab, PCGS slab that was counterfeit, but it was so deceptive that when we contacted PCGS, they asked us to mail it into them so they could look at it in house because the hologram was virtually identical to a genuine
Oh,
slab.
wow. That's crazy. Has PCGS gold had anything to do with identifying the slab or coin?
The Can you say that again?
It's has PCGS gold had anything to do with identifying the slab or coin?
I'm gonna I'm gonna say I think that's talking about TrueView and the gold shield or the secure holder. That the secure holder is wonderful. I That's an extra layer of protection because not only do you have the micro printing, the glitter of the shield, but you've also usually with that gold shield you've got the TrueView image, and I have used the TrueView image, especially when they steal the genuine number and throw it on a fake slab. I found a lot of fake coins by comparing those images to the coin. That's one of the dead giveaways when it doesn't match what's in the photo.
Okay. The older slabs are seemingly more low tech, thus, are they more popular with counterfeiters?
Yes. I have never seen an old green holder or earlier, so the PCGS Rattler, the doily, the two-piece, the old green holder, and the NGC Fatty, old Fatty. I've never seen those counterfeited just because they're not, they're a little bit harder to do because they are older.
Mhm.
The newer holders, the same way, are not usually counterfeited as much because they're harder to do. There's just too many, especially today with both services. There's just too many security measures for them to try to counterfeit and do a good job counterfeiting the newer holders.
Okay. Under stereoscope, are there small wordings of PCGS or NGC printed like currency? Are there fake giveaways on this? What printing technology is used for real slabs?
Yes, PCGS in their hologram, they do have micro printing in the hologram. NGC on the label, NGC coins, most NGC slabs, especially the newer ones, they'll have a hologram right on the label um, as well as soldered onto the slab. And so you can see the micro printing in the NGC barcode, or not the barcode, the hologram under the barcode. The PCGS Gold Shield has micro printing. Holograms on both services have micro printing. So yes, and usually that micro printing can be read with a 7x loop.
Okay.
It's fairly easy to see. So.
And then back to the fake hologram. How can those fake holograms be identified if they're so good?
Yeah, it goes to, well, it's not only the micro printing, but a lot of stuff, and a lot of times detecting these counterfeit slabs, especially when they get good, it really comes down to being a weirdo like me that sits down for hours and hours and stares at the same slab under a microscope under my loop for hours to get every single small detail. And that's where I came up with the serifs and the G on PCGS,
Mhm.
was staring at that for hours and comparing it to photos. So it just takes time.
All right. Have you seen fake CAC stickers?
Yes, and that is something I was gonna touch briefly on. Yes, there are fake CAC stickers out there. I've only seen one in person. They forgot with the counterfeiter, they forgot to put the hologram on the sticker.
Oh, wow.
CAC stickers are very hard to counterfeit.
Yeah.
I would go to say the security of a CAC sticker is far better than the security of a slab
Mhm.
because they're not only tamper resistant. If you try, and I have tried, I'm ashamed to say I have tried to peel CAC stickers off of slabs. I've scratched them. I've tried to peel them off. I've tried to scrape them off. They're almost impossible to scrape off, and the hologram behind it is extremely well done.
That's
So yes, there are fake CAC stickers out there. They're very hard to find a fake. It's very hard to find a fake one. And CAC also has their website registry, so you can check to see if it's a genuine sticker.
okay. It would seem the problem is only getting worse. What is the main cause of such great fake slab technology? A rise in coin prices? Better pictures of slabs on the internet? It seems like it's basically a technological arms race.
Yeah, counterfeit slab counterfeiting and coin counterfeiting as well in general has been on the rise because collecting is increasing. The number of collectors are increasing. Coins are becoming more valuable, especially with ones that are being counterfeited. They're becoming more valuable. There's more buyers. A lot of people are starting to invest in a lot with Morgan dollars and bullion. The main the main target for these counterfeits is not collectors. We are not the intended person that these counterfeiters are trying to put their slabs to. It's investors on Wall Street that have no idea what they're looking at.
Yeah. Okay, I think this is the last question that I have for you. Are counterfeiters or counterfeits appearing in the numismatic auction sites? How careful should we be shopping for them or shopping
Um,
through them?
Stacks and Heritage and Great Collections, the major auction houses and the other ones that I'm not listing. They do a really good job. I don't think I've ever seen a counterfeit slab on the website of one of those because they very carefully screen their coins and they're very good at what they do. I have noticed a couple counterfeit slabs in auction houses overseas, but here in the U.S. they do a very good job of catching them.
All right. Well, thanks again. That was a great presentation. I'm sure everyone else was just as um, into it as I was and learned a lot like I did. And if you guys want to watch this again, it should be up on our website by next week. There also are a ton more seminars and webinars coming up that you can sign up for on our website. And we look forward to having you guys again. Thanks again, Isaiah.
Thank you.